So we are running 21st century software, our knowledge, on hardware that hasn't been upgraded for 50,000 years. And this lies at the core of many of our problems. All of this is because our human nature is back in the hunting-gathering era of the old Stone Age, whereas our knowledge and our technology, in other words, our ability to do both good and harm to ourselves and to the world in general, has grown out of all proportion.
One thing to remember, of course, about the human mind is that it's not that fundamentally different from, say, the brain of a chimpanzee. Most of the human brain, the basic structure of the brain, is much older than the human species. Some of it goes back to bacteria, some of it goes back to worms, some of it originated in the first mammal, some of it in the first primates, some of it in the first human beings. Very little of it, however, changed in the last 50,000 years. And so most of what we do with hardware components that are much older than any of the problems that we face.
When I first began to study chimps, I thought that the task was to just map out more and more similarities, to find areas of cognition that hadn't been studied yet, and simply show that chimps were just like us. You can imagine teaching a small child to stand up a block upright. And you can teach them, oh, I'll set up the block here, set up a block here. I can see everything. It's very, very clear. And I get a piece of fruit for doing it. But what happens when you introduce a small subtlety into this situation where you trick them and just make the block off-center just enough that it keeps falling over? Well, the chimp will come in, set up the good block, set up the block that we've tricked them with, but then it falls over. Well, the chimp can see that it's not the way it's supposed to be, so they try again. And they try again. And they move it to one place, and they move it to another place. And they keep trying to get it to stand up because they know what is supposed to happen, but they have no understanding or no inclination to ask why. What unobservable part of the situation is causing that block to keep falling over? The young child will enter, set up the good block, try to set up the block that we've tricked them with, but when it falls over, well, first they'll try again, and maybe try again, but very quickly, they'll turn it over, feel the bottom of it, shake it, try to discern what unobservable property of that block is causing it to fall over. That's the fundamental core difference, I believe, between humans and chimps, that humans ask why. We're constantly probing for unobservable phenomenon to explain the observable. It's what's driven us to discover gravity. It's what's driven us to probe into the mysteries of quasars. And it's the same thing that drives us to probe into the mysteries of each other in our everyday lives. Why does she keep doing that? Why does he keep behaving like that? He must think this. He must believe this. I don't understand. Why?